Hello group, Jeff here. I want to show you my cable management, USB. Basically from the computer to the mount, because that's the most important. From the mount up to my gear, I try to keep my cables as short as I can. I don't think the longest one I own from the hub to anything on the scope is more than 10 feet. And because ROK has the USB 2 hubs, I can run a lot of stuff into the camera and run one cable down to my hub. So I have, from the hub, I have one into the mount, one up to the cameras, one that I would use for my PoleMaster, and one that I would use for something that I would have in an emergency. So on this 6-port hub, I would only have at most 4 of the ports used. And I'll talk about the hub in a second. So what I want to show you is the cable that I use. Whoop, there we go. Jeez, get my act together here. And this is a 15-meter cable. This is probably the best you can get. There are other ones that are just as good, but I've always liked these guys, and this is what I use. So 45 feet, it's got 1, 2, 3 repeaters in it. Or I'm sorry, 2 repeaters. The next thing I want to show you is the tester that you guys, everybody should have one of these, because without this, you're driving in the dark. And come on, you can focus. There we go. It's a Klein USB 2 tester, but it will test voltage on USB 3 lines. So with that out of the way, I will say that this is for Stefan, but this can be for anybody on the group, male, female, big, small. So right now I have my 45-foot cable plugged into my USB 3 hub. At the mount, it goes into my hub, and then the hub distributes to the mount and, in this particular case, the 2 cameras. So I will show you that the hub is working by starting up the 432. And you can see, I hope, that the screen has gone white. I'm purposely doing that so that you can see it's working. It is in USB 3 mode. So I will turn the camera off, and now I will unplug the hub, plug it into the tester, or not the hub, but the 45-foot cable, plug that into the tester, and then plug the tester into the computer. And I'm reading 5.17 volts. That's excellent. It's under 5.2. I think ROK had a limit of 5.2. Not sure. He can chime in if I'm wrong. And it's above the 5. That's, you can't go wrong with this setting. So what I'll do now is we'll go to the end of the hub, or the hub. I got hub on the brain. We'll go to the end of the repeater and check voltage there. And I'm showing 5.12 volts. So I dropped 5.05 volts just in that 45-foot rung. So if you're on the low side of 5 volts, like 5.03, you're going to be under 5 volts at the end of this cable, at the end of the 45 feet. So now we'll check. So I have, my hub is running into this inverter. This is a 13.8 amp or 13.8 volt inverter, 3 amp, and that's plenty to drive whatever I'm trying to drive. With this hub. And this hub is a brand new Pegasus USB 3 hub. It's got 6 ports, they're all powered, and the beauty of this hub is it's ASCOM compliant, so you can control it through ASCOM. And what that'll do is, if you have, in my case, I have, of the 6 ports, I have 2 that I'm using, I can turn the other 4 off, which you would want to do because you don't want to be having the ports on. Even though they're not pulling power, it still takes power to have them on. So I just guarantee maximum voltage out of the ports that I'm using. So I'm going to plug my tester into my camera and see what we get. So I'm back up to 5.17 volts. I hope you heard that, 5.17 volts. That's because of this hub. So I have 5.17, 5.12, and now up to my camera from the hub, I'm back up to 5.17. That's a wonderful thing. I will never ever have a problem with my camera, unless there's a problem with the camera. So I will take this and plug it back in. It's showing that I'm back at USB 3 for my 432. I'll start the 432 and bingo, the 432 is running. So 99.999999% of the problems that people have with their cameras is voltage. If you don't have enough voltage at the camera will become very inconsistent. I know because I had a devil of a time with one of my mounts. And I was able to trace it back to a brand new powered USB 3 hub that I just bought, taking it out of the box, and the camera would never run. If it did run, it ran for 600 frames, boom, freezed up. I mean, I had to close Mellencamp Sky out through the task manager. That's how hard it locked up. Finally, I got to playing with different hubs and realized that it was actually the hub that was screwing me up. So I got to looking at my astronomy expenses and realized that for the money I spent on hubs last year, I should have just bought the good one to start with, because I would have been ahead in the end. So I will tell anybody in the group till the day I die that if you don't have, if you aren't sending the proper voltage up the line and back, you're not going to have a good experience with your camera. And for Stefan, I am 99.99% sure that's your problem. You just have a voltage problem and you need to figure that out. It's not so much the 45-foot run that you have, it's your hub. And with that tester, if you're at 5 volts, that's just barely enough to keep the camera running. And what you're finding is that once that power dips a little bit, it gets into that danger zone. And I've found that anything below 4.98 becomes very iffy with these cameras. And that's nothing to do with rock. It's the computer doesn't have, that's a 200 watt power supply. That's a brick. U-series chips have little dinky 45 watt power supplies, and that's probably what you have. And if something's going on with the computer where it's drawing too much power, it's going to start knocking ports out to save the CPU. So that's what I think is happening to you. And if you can help the system out by getting a better hub at the mount, you will solve 99% of your problems all the way, any day. So I hope the group got something out of that. And the other reason I'm using that plastic is I found that if I just had my hub out in the open, what was happening is the dew would build up on it and the water would run into the port and short it out. I found out the hard way on that one. I picked up a hub after a session and just happened to tip it over, and water just poured out of the thing. So by using this little box, it's got some holes in it so that it can breathe, but there's enough heat in here that keep it above the dew point. And that's going to be important for you. It's not so much the cold or the hot with this one, it's the dew point. So good information for you. I hope you can use some of the little tips for what you're doing, and we'll see you in the group. Thanks.